Hello everybody and welcome to WCS America Premier League. Today is the 26th of May 2014 and I'm of course Ken van der Kooi, also known as Rotterdam. And with me is the one and only amazingly handsome today, Nathan Fabricant. Nathan, how are you doing?
I'm feeling great. Feeling great.
You look great, Nathan.
I appreciate that.
You shine like a star, like a diamond as well.
Oh. Well, our players, of course, will be looking to see who can shine today as we move on to Group C of the WCS America Premier League. I think some fan favorites people are looking forward to watching in today's matches: Oz, QXC, Puck, and Violet.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There is so much to tell about these guys as well, and of course we're going to do our best to tell you guys all about the players for pretty much throughout the entire broadcast. But let's focus on our first match. Of course, the winners are going to play against each other, and later on the losers will play against each other, and we will have a deciders match, as two of these four players will advance to WCS America Premier League round of 16, which is of course played offline. Our very first match of the day is going to be Oz versus QXC. Quite the contrary as well. Oz has been a WCS America Premier League regular. He's been here since WCS America 2013 season 1, so this is his 5th season already. And on the other end we have QXC, I think one of the most profiled American players. He is also one of those guys that's been around since day one, but WCS hasn't really been his tournament, Nate.
No, it hasn't. This is actually his first time he'll be playing in a WCS Premier League match this series against Oz, and of course no small opponent to go against. Oz finished in 2nd place in season 1 of 2014. Probably one of the more scary players you'll face in this group stage.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Oz is a really cool story as well, because if you take a look at his WCS career, in the very first season in 2013, Oz back then still in EG, we had high expectations of him because he was this very talented player on Fnatic a long time ago. We're like, he can probably go far. He lost in the round of 32. Season 2, however, he showed like, that was a mistake, and he made it into the quarterfinal, lost against Polt. Polt ended up winning it, no shame. Season 3 of 2013, Oz made it to the semi-finals, so he went again a step further, but he lost against Polt again. This time, however, it was a lot closer than in Season 2. And of course, like you already previously mentioned, last season, WCS America 2014 Premier League Season 1. It's quite a mouthful, but I'm sure you guys can follow it. Oz was the runner-up. He lost in the final against Ian. So, you know, Nate, if we follow that trend, he's going to win the whole damn thing this time.
Yeah, Oz is, I would say, by far the scariest player to look at in this group. He played a lot of Protoss versus Protoss and Protoss versus Zerg in that final 8 bracket of Season 1. Not too many Terrans, but, you know, regardless of his record against Terrans, QXC still ends up being an underdog in this series because we haven't seen any big results from him recently. He hasn't made any of those big splashes. We know he plays a lot. We know he streams a reasonable amount, but does he have what it takes this season to make a splash on his first Premier League day? That's the big question everyone's wondering.
You could say nothing to lose, everything to win, but with QXC he's never really like that because we know that he's hard on himself as well. He put a lot of pressure on himself, so he definitely doesn't see himself as a wild card. Be like, hey, it's awesome to participate. No, QXC wants to advance. Of course, we love to hear from you guys as well. Hashtag WCS in the Twitter universe, and make sure to follow us as well. Twitter.com/StarCraft and Twitter.com/ESLTV. And of course, you guys can like us on Facebook as well. Well, Nate, I think it's almost time to fire up our very first game of the day. I'm going to make sure the players are ready.
I'm excited for this, man. We're going to kick things off on Overgrowth, 2-player map of a reasonable size, I think. Pretty solid for this matchup overall. We've seen the maps and some of the games more recently across the globe trending towards a little bit more even results, sometimes favoring Terran players a bit. So I'm wondering if QXC's got anything up his sleeve. He is one of those players that we look at that can bring out the tricky builds. Of course, you guys can see this is our first matchup, QXC from Complexity against Planet Key Dynamics Oz TVP.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It should be a good series, like we already said. I'm sure that a lot of you guys probably look at this like, well, QXC, you have nothing to lose. You go up against the runner-up of WCS America Season 1. He doesn't see this like this. This is a unique opportunity for Kev. He's been trying to qualify for WCS America Premier League a long time. He got close multiple times. You could say he had a little bit of luck on his side this season, as he didn't have to play his Challenger match, as Minigun wasn't able to play StarCraft on that given day. However, I'm really happy to see QXC in Premier League, and I know that he's going to do justice. As you said, he's the type of player that is always practicing a lot. He's not the guy that just sits at home and has nothing else to do. No, Kevin loves playing StarCraft. He's going to go all out, and I just want to be surprised. I want to see what he has in store for us. I know that he's going to be in good shape, but is it enough against a powerhouse like us? Well, let's just go ahead and jump into our very first game of the day, which is going to be played on Overgrowth, like you just said.
All right, let's find out if he's brought enough to the table. Of course, his opponent, our red Protoss in the bottom left position from Planet Key Dynamics, second place in Season 1 of WCS America, it is Oz. Very strong player, of course. You mentioned he was on EG for a greater part of 2013. This guy's been on Complexity, it seems like forever at this point. Our blue Terran player in the top right, it is QXC.
Yeah, QXC is kind of like the American Hazuops, you know? Hazu has been on mouse for like forever. I feel that QXC is going to be on Complexity for pretty much forever. And that's awesome as well. It's good to see players be loyal to their team. It's a little bit surprising, if you're still looking back at it, that, you know, EG let go of Oz because he was a pretty successful player in 2013. I think pretty much as good as they could have possibly hoped for when they picked him up.
Yeah, and you know, when you look at some of the results, especially, I mean, you kind of mentioned Oz he's just been playing fantastically so far as well. This game, we're actually seeing QXC mix things up a little bit. He's opening with gas first build, getting his barracks afterwards. So we are going to see a fast factory build out of him. He has an SCV going around to check for any potential proxy bases that could be, or you know, anything to worry about, any proxies in the early game at least.
Yeah, it's taking a very interesting route over here. Do you think he might be proxying something himself? I think he's going to proxy a factory, don't you think so?
Yeah, I've actually, QXC's done this a little bit.
Oh, that's going to be such a quick factory as well. He's going to start building that like, I'm sure you know it, like it's between 3 minutes and 3 minutes and 10 seconds. It's a factory before almost any unit. And if your opponent decides to, you know, open up with a Zealot, Stalker, Mothership Core and he runs across the map, he's going to take so much damage from these silly Widow Mines. I like to call them silly now.
Yeah, you know, the really crazy thing about this is oftentimes off gas first builds, when you build your factory in your main base and you try to do attack with your starport. This, from QXC, looks like maybe he wants to do a liftoff. I mean, he could still do a medevac drop. It maybe be a couple seconds faster than if it was from his main base, but of course, this does mean it's more committed. If QXC's attack gets shut down, his production's on the other half of the map, you won't have too much to defend.
And kind of what I mentioned before, Nate, I think that we might see that. First, Zealot is making his way across the map, Stalker and Mothership Core being chrono boosted as well. Just a single gas, so I'm kind of expecting maybe another Stalker behind this, then a Nexus to go down. I don't think he's going to get a super quick robotics facility, so this means that these Widow Mines of QXC, if he is going Widow Mines, which we're both expecting right now, could be really, really annoying, can also be difficult to scout. Mothership Core is going to float out. It's going to see that SCV though. Do you think that's going to trigger a reaction? This is a weird SCV, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's, you know, the worker scout, you know, as a Protoss player, this is way later than you would typically expect an SCV to scout your base. A Mothership Core, really not too far. The factory, it's making its way inside of Oz's base. And that first Widow Mine's going to begin. Probe moves a little bit up, but does not see it.
Okay.
And QXC's getting a bunker back home.
Yeah, this bunker is really important. He's going to have to make sure that this bunker finishes up as soon as possible. With 4 Marines, he should be fine, especially if the bunker is up. And without that bunker, it could still get tricky. So he has to make sure that it's going to finish up, but it will finish up. Zealot takes quite a bit of damage immediately. I'm starting to like this quite a bit for QXC. Look at this, Widow Mine is going to burrow in this natural mineral line without a robotics facility or a forge out on the map. When this happens, Nate, I say terrible things that I'm not allowed to say right now.
Well, this could get really dicey. Burrows that Widow Mine, and I like this. He's keeping just one probe close by to try to bait that shot. QXC
he's
seems
stopping
like
it. He's stopping it.
He's retargeting it, and he does get a very nice shot. 7 kills. Oh, man. Robo facility starts, but, you know, too little, too late.
Wow. Well, hello. Welcome to WCS America. We're not awake just yet, Nate. We're definitely awake right now.
Oh,
sick
man.
move there by QXC. I guess he's pressing stop over and over and over and over again, or is it the whole position?
Yeah, I think with Widow Mines, you have to retarget, so he's constantly clicking between different units when those probes try to move up. Okay. And it's really clever that he can do it without reburrowing. Probes are trying to transfer. He might
he's
get
gonna
another
get
couple. 2 more.
Oh my god, massacre all over the place right now. 10 workers have gone down already. The Terran is up 7 workers, 6 minutes and 25 seconds into the game. Well, I don't know, Nate. It's not looking all that good for our Brothers player right now.
No, it is not. The robotics facility is complete. First observer is on the way, but
they're probably going to shoot again, at least one more time.
They should. He's moving a Widow Mine down to the natural expansion as well. Could get a couple probes. Going to force the foe to an overcharge.
Nice.
And this is really crazy. Oh, 2 more inside the main base mineral line, and the other Widow Mine's going to try to get a little bit closer to try to hit these gases. But I don't think he should be able to get much more from this, unless he's scanned. That'd just be crazy.
I actually think that would have been a good move. Look, that one Widow Mine is still alive. Do you think he knows?
Oh, the one in the top right.
He probably knows. He's going to see it right now. And he will take out both Widow Mines, but still, I think it's safe to say that the damage has been dealt. Also, make sure you don't lose a Stalker. That's very silly. He doesn't lose that Stalker. I really think that throwing down one scan against an opponent who's that poor and has that few workers, it would be okay, because in that moment it's truly panic, because there are like 3 Widow Mines spread out all over the place. So throwing down a scan to kill an observer I think would have been a fine decision, but either way, this worked out really, really good for Kevin Riley, also known as QXC, representing complexity.
Yeah, our American Templar is bringing the
7
fireworks here.
7 kills. How often do you see 7 kills on the mineral line that like not actually being stacked on that moment or something? That's insane.
Yeah, really, really good control with this play. And of course, you know, he's got a standard follow-up coming. Getting the stim pack upgrade. Don't believe he started the starport despite having this factory, but his starport will still be done at, you know, surprisingly close to normal time. The observer will go in and get a read on everything that's going on. Oz back home, it's, you know, it's not the craziest thing, but when you take big hits like this, sometimes you got to go for a big play in the Dark Shrine. It's never a bad call.
The chat loves it, of course. When behind go Dark Shrine, we all know it. Is an energy for another Photon Overcharge? Yes, there is. Stim is only halfway done, so it's going to be hard. But there's so few units for QXC. I actually think that QXC can just dance in range of Photon Overcharge right now. Just walk in. As long as you take down again between 5 and 10 workers in the process, or maybe pick off 2 of the sentries, I feel it's okay. He's going to at least force out Photon Overcharge. We'll see if he actually decides to commit. Yeah, he does.
He goes in. He took a health off a couple of those probes. He's going to get one of the Stalkers, the Zealot as well. Not too bad. Photon Overcharge pushes him away for now, but you know, this is one of those situations where how comfortable does QXC feel? He already has a turret in front of his natural. Comes up, picks up another Stalker. Very nice. And looking to get a little bit more. He just needs to have units at the front of his base, and he should be able to defend any Dark Templar that attack.
Yeah, there is one probe over here on the left up side of the map. So yes, this Dark Shrine is finishing up, but Photon Overcharge is going to run out real soon. And I think that these units can start trading very effectively. If he stims in right now, he takes down these 4 units in the blink of an eye. Then he also takes down a bunch of probes. He should really go for it. He throws down a scan. That's a little bit unfortunate. But this one SCV does find the pylon on the right up side of the map. That is great.
Yeah, he sees this first Dark Templar are being warped. And of course, he can deny the 3rd command center. But most importantly, QXC needs to bring units towards his natural. He has a missile turret, but nothing here to kill this. Runs into the natural expansion. The DT used very well defensively. But yeah, he's just going to run right past the turret.
There is a scan available. As long as he scans properly, then this Mr. can finish up as well. Okay, these DTs are going to buy a little bit of time for us, but it shouldn't be like the game-ending damage or like at least the super comeback damage that he's hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost 15 workers compared to only killing 3 so far this game. Pylon gets picked off. This army's been pushed back, but now he's got the medevacs. He can load up and avoid those. And the follow-up for Oz, he's getting Blink, Colossus range. But this is still one of those situations where taking a 3rd base can be very, very difficult as well. Yeah,
it's going to be very hard for us to take a 3rd base. That's not going to happen in the next 2 minutes, I think. Maybe at like 13 minutes something, but he's so low on units. As soon as QXC is going to have like enough units to pressure on both locations, I think it's going to be extremely tough for us to stabilize.
QXC Colossus exposed, looking for the Colossus. Is he going to get it? He does pick it off, loads up, only losing a handful of those bio units, and might even be able to grab this pylon. The only one powering about 4 or 5 of these gateways. Dark Templar warped in to try to save it. He will force the liftoff, but that's a very scary position for us to be in now.
That's great, resetting the Colossus count as well. Now again, Oz will literally only have 1 unit that's good against Stim Bio, and that is that new Colossus that's about to pop. As soon as all these units join in, I think QXC can just A-move in the front. He can throw down a scan for these DTs. I wouldn't really scan mid, I would just kind of ignore them and start scanning when you're actually in the natural, because you know that he's going to wipe in another defensive DT. I don't see it. There's going to be a Widow Mine drop in the main base as well. That is very nice. The Observer is out of position as well. Here comes another little mighty Widow Mine.
He's moving into the natural during all of this. Widow Mine not getting too many probes just yet. Detonate's actually not getting anything, but he's in the natural. Picks off a few probes, grabs a pylon. That Colossus is there to defend. Blink's not finished, so he cannot chase the medevacs just yet. Dark Templar running into the mineral line of the 3rd base for QXC. He has a bunker in a turret, but no Marines placed here to defend just yet. So good couple kills, 6 pickups by that DT. Oz has to take what little he can, but QXC has been playing really well. We can see he's got still a little bit of a supply lead as well.
I mean, he's up by 13 workers. He's up a base, and above all, as soon as Combat Shield finishes up, like the only thing he was a little low on was Viking/medevac count. It's still only 4 and 2. But the fact that he was able to pick up that 1 Colossus makes his life so much easier, because I don't see how Oz is going to go up to 3 bases. Like I said, late 13 minutes mark before. Right now we're past 14-minute mark, and I still see like just no way that he's going to be able to secure an extra base real soon.
You know what else is really rough is he doesn't have any upgrades.
No, he has no
forges. +1 attack is already done for QXC. Those gateway units will
Look
melt.
at Colossus.
Colossus steps out. He's got 2 on the map. Walking out by itself, caught alone in the dark, and he will be able to snap that up. A great pickup for QXC. Stalkers blink to chase, but they kill the empty medevac, and this leaves the main base completely exposed. A couple Zealots being warped in to try and defend against this attack, and Oz is just gonna attack across the map.
Okay, well, here we go. Photon Overcharge is casted. These Zealots will get taken out. These Stalkers are going to fall as well. He's going to take out the robotics facility. Will take quite some damage on these Marauders, but at least no more Colossus. So right now, it's just like a single Colossus on the field. It's 1 Colossus and 12 Blink Stalkers and an Archon.
But can he defend this third base? QXC, he's not even going to try. Lifts up. He says, I know I'm ahead. All I need to do is not die to this attack. If I clear this army, there's no way you can reproduce this force. Medevac's moving back across the map. He's getting everything rallied together here to defend this push as best as possible. There is a Templar Archives on the way as a potential fallback, but QXC just going to come out and meet this army so far. He's got enough Vikings to eat this Colossus with no trouble at all. Archon up front, he basically loses the Colossus for free.
Yep, there was a lot of Blink Stalkers, but that's about it. There are a lot of Marauders in the mix as well. This looks like a very unintimidating Protoss army to me. Even though, like, army supply, it's very close. It's 74 against 72, but this army is awful against bunkers. I think there is one observer, but it's kind of late. I love these supply depots that are going down for QXC. Meanwhile, Farsight is going to lag for a little bit. We'll most likely leave this game as soon as possible. Either way, this is like the final moment. This is the determining moment right now in the first game of the day. But if you ask me, QXC is all the pieces in the right place.
Yeah, fantastic play. I would have said that QXC is the player in this group that needs to bring out some crazy builds the most in order to move on because of the just because of the difficulty of his opponents. But he's shown a great build so far, and we are moving back into the game. As you can see, he's trying to break this bunker line, but the bio in a nice choke point behind all this. The missile turret helps to clean up the DTs, even landing the Vikings. There's no way Oz can break this defensive position, especially with that deficit on upgrades. QXC's going to stim out. He's going to push his way through and take game number 1 of this best of 3. A fantastic first game by the American Terran here in WCS America.
Yeah, what a game. That first Widowmine move, Nate, I think that's one of the coolest Widowmine tricks that I've seen in a while. Like, I know there is a way to not let them shoot immediately, but I don't really mess around with Widowmines a whole lot. When I play Terran, I die before I can make Widowmines. That's how bad I am. But, like, you could really see that he was actively making sure that it was not shooting. You said by switching targets over and over again, and then certainly when Oz thinks like, well, I guess it's fine. It shoots and it kills 7 probes. 7 is so much.
Yeah, it really takes a lot of focus as a Terran player. You know, you try to pull this off in ladder, and then you look back to build an SCV or supply depot, and the Widowmine triggers on nothing. And, you know, it was smart for Oz to try to play with the AI of it and only lose a single probe, but it was even smarter for QXC to keep enough attention and enough of his just his APM to be able to make sure that Widowmine got the best hit possible. So really cool. That's his first win in a map in WCS Premier. So gotta be feeling good with that first game.
Against one hell of a player as well. Once again, Oz is the runner-up of WCS America Premier League Season 1. I would even say that he looked close to taking the whole thing as well, because his PVZ looked pretty good, and that finals against Hyun was a really close one. But now QXC in his Premier League debut, starting off strong. He's not there just yet. However, that was the best way to start, I'd say. Nothing better than going for a proxy build. It's also funny as well, because I felt like, okay, if I know how Oz plays, I think the worst thing that could happen is if he opens up with a Zealot, a Stalker, and Mothership Core with a double Crone, and he runs across the map.
Yeah.
Because that's like, then leave your base so exposed. I know that feeling all too well, because I love opening up like that as well, or slightly different, but same idea. And then if you're playing against a proxy, it can be bad, and well, it turned out very bad.
Yeah, it's QXC's taken gas first builds have been increasingly used more and more. Lots of players like them. You see players like Maru using them quite a bit in his Pro League matches, and they're just a strong build to use overall. But proxying the factory, getting the Widowmine in there, it worked really well against an aggressive type of opener that Oz brought. You said it perfectly, Kevin. This gives him a nice position. He's 1 map away from moving up to the winners match, and our second game is going to be played out on Frost for Terran versus Protoss. Don't think it's too bad of a map, but we could still see gas first on this map again.
Yes, we could. Yeah, I just scared myself. I tried to fix a problem and then it goes wrong. So I'm just going to go ahead and fire up game number 2. As our players are ready, we are ready. As you said, Frost is going to be our second map. Well, I'm glad that we're keeping this tradition alive at least. I don't think we've had a single best of 3 so far in WCS America Premier League without Frost. And I don't think we're going to ever see it either, Nate.
No.
It would have to take a real bad person to veto Frost.
Maybe Hyun would, just to mess with his opponent and be like, okay, let's play on a map that isn't Frost for
Man.
once in his series.
Right now, if you want to get a mental advantage in WCS, you just veto Frost, and the other guy, everything that he has prepared.
This guy
down
must
the
be
drain.
nuts.
Is he not taking this serious? He is taking this serious. It's like a double mind game over here.
Yeah.
Either way, game number 2 is live between these two awesome players. Is QXC going to be able to upset the runner-up of WCS America Premier League in our first series of the day? Perhaps we know the answer on that question after this map.
This has been a pretty cool series so far. As you guys can see, our runner-up from last season's WCS America, Planet Key Dynamics Oz, is down 0-1 in this series to the man known as the Tiger Terran in the top right from Complexity. 1 game away from the winner's match. It is QXC.
And if you just joined us, this group is completed by Violet and Puck, two really interesting players as well. Of course, a lot of story behind those, especially because Puck is pretty well known for his excellent PvZ. And I'd imagine that people are going to tune in 1 hour from now on, they'll see the winner's match is going to be QXC versus Puck. And that would be something.
That'd be pretty crazy. Now, when you look at this group on paper, statistically, you're like, okay, well, Puck has a very realistic chance of beating Violet. We've seen Puck take series off of Hyun, the champion of the first season, in that round of 16.
Yeah, he was the only one to defeat Hyun in the entire season, correct?
I think he was the only player to take a series off him. Yeah, and then you look at QXC, like, well, he hasn't had results. We know he's good. His history shows that he's had peaks of greatness, but this is probably the best chance for him to really remind everybody who he is and what he plays for.
Very economic openings over here on both sides. So we see a Nexus first here for Oz on Frost, and it's going to be a command center first for QXC as well. Not like this is not the first time ever we see this, but it's a little interesting because, you know, Pro Display is going Nexus first on Frost. It can get tricky if they open up with a Reaper. It could be very annoying.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, Frost it's one of those maps where you don't have to worry as much, I'd say, about that very fast Zealot Stalker Mothership core rush. So QXC, that's really the only build that threatens a command center first, I feel, these days, if you build it on the low ground like this. So he's obviously feeling very comfortable. I expect to see him take a second barracks shortly after this. There's a couple of different greedy plays, but how do you like Nexus first versus Command Center first?
Yeah, it's a little tricky because as Protoss, you're often in the dark as well. It's going to be really important that this probe will not die against a Marine or something, and we can see, oh, he's signing it in the wrong direction. Then, you know, Nexus first is still good, don't get me wrong, but it's a little different playing Nexus first or playing Nexus first knowing you play against Command Center first. Because if that's the case, then you're like, yippee-yi-yo, Chrono Boost all day. But right now, for all he knows, he still has to worry about the Reaper soon, or he has to worry about another crazy quick factory build. So you're a little bit more hesitant on using all of your Chrono Boost on trying to get out as many workers as possible. So I actually don't mind this position that much for QXC, because I feel for QXC it makes no difference. You know, he's just going to drop mules all day, every day. Did he actually find? No, he didn't find his opponent either, but right now for the Terran it doesn't make a difference. For Protoss, he could have maybe got like 1 or 2 extra Chrono Boosts down on workers if he would have known about the opening of QXC.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. And I like that QXC has shown in this series, despite being what we would call an underdog, he's played very confident builds, that very aggressive opening the first map. He's not afraid to play Command Center first, because he's saying now, we're just going to play the full ball out macro game. I don't need to do any super crazy early damage to you to get this series. And really, on this map, I think there's not too much they need to worry about, because even one of the other builds that's still kind of popular on Frost with its cliff setup, like Blink, Command Center first kind of sets you up better to defend those types of attacks anyway.
All right, here comes that probe. That probe is going to see that is going to see everything, and the amount of Marines that he saw over there as well. He's like, oh, just 3 right now. Then I probably am playing as Command Center first. I'd be surprised if he didn't think like that. QXC on the other hand also saw the Nexus, but I don't think that he can completely confirm that it was a Nexus first, or maybe he can as well around this game. So I guess right now still everything is quite even. We immediately see Chrono Boost being thrown down at this Nexus. We'll most likely refresh it and do it all over again. I think this is more fake than anything real. I guess he's just going to try to scout a little bit. Yeah. I was confused because he was keeping this probe alive around, like he wanted to drop a pylon, but that really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. No. This is a great scout, by the way, Nate. This Mothership Core is going to see all of the Rexes.
Yeah, very nice. The Mothership Core can see. And, you know, one of the things that we talk about a lot in Protoss versus Terran scouting is as long as you know that there's no factory follow-up to whatever is coming, you feel a lot more comfortable. He doesn't have to. He can pretty much write off Widow Mines at this point in the game. He can write off any crazy Hellion attack. He can write off everything except maybe a little Marine Marauder shove, like we saw him do after the mine drop in the last game.
good Zealot positioning over there by us, because that Zealot got 2 hits off, one more than it should have gotten off on that SCV. Forces QXC to throw down the scan, and the scan doesn't really reveal a whole lot. He didn't see the Twilight Council, which is going down in the natural. But on the other hand, Oz did not see this third Rex, and it doesn't make that much of a difference, because I'm sure that he's going to play this quite safe from this point on. However, I would always love to see if I'm playing against 2 or 3 Rexes, because it does delay the medevac production for, let's say, between 30 and 45 seconds. But at the same time, it also gives Terran more units before you're normally worried about medevac aggression. So now you might have to worry about different types of aggression. So a little bit unfortunate for us that he didn't see that Rex.
Yeah, and he's going to start a Blink, though, and on this map, if there were faster medevacs, Blink can kind of help with defending, although that 30-40 seconds can be the difference between having Blink and Blink almost being done. So Oz is going to have to play, well, I think this setup allows him to play defensively either way. He's going 2 forward, Robotics Bay, so it's going to be Colossi, probably taking the third as he starts 1-1, maybe switch straight into Templar. He has a lot of options, I guess is the best way to put it. And these Marines come up, take the shields off of one of these Stalkers, but he has, oh, actually pops Guardian Shield, a little preemptively.
Yeah, shouldn't matter too much. Indeed, wasn't necessary, but I don't think we have to be too hard on that. The Observer's gonna fly in, and this time it will confirm all of these Rexes over here. It will also see the factory, and of course, so important, the timing on that starport. You mentioned it, Nate, I think very important. It's a double forge build over here from us. What is this telling us, guys? Well, that he's most likely not trying to hit a 2-base timing. It is still possible, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think us is just gonna be like, all right, game 1, you definitely caught me off guard. I want to make sure this does not happen in game number 2. I'm going to sit on 2 bases for a while, defend, and then I'm going to go up to 3 bases when I have my upgrades going and I have Colossus, so I can actually fight Stimmed Bio. And he's basically putting himself in a defensive position, which he is most likely completely okay with.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're Oz, and just how good Oz is, he is one of those players that it was not surprising to see a build come out of him that says, I think I can beat you in the macro game. Let's make sure we get as late into this game as possible.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. He's also getting 2 cannons. I'm a little bit surprised by that, because normally when you open up with Blink, of course, can be very strong aggressively, but this is already too late for that kind of Blink play. So right now I feel that Blink is much more of a passive to it than it is aggressively. And then I kind of wonder why he's investing even more in defenses while getting cannons as well. Seems like small overkill to me, because, you know, with the Colossus, with the Blink Stalkers and Photon Overcharge, I don't think you need cannons in this phase in the game. Like, you need cannons, I feel, once you have High Templars and you're moving out with your army, then you just leave 1 cannon and 1 High Templar in every base, and that is awesome defense. But to invest 300 minerals right now in cannons surprises me a tiny bit. But I guess you'd rather be safe than sorry, right?
Yeah.
He wants to make sure that he gets to that macro phase, like you said.
Yeah, the thing is, like, if he loses this game, then you have to win basically. Like, you have to win the next 2 matches after. You have to be playing so much longer. He'd love to just go straight to the winner's mound. And I was gonna say, I like the observer spread, watching the right side alley of this map, and of course he was able to pick one of them off, but he can still see units that move through here, and these medevacs that might be visible as well.
Yeah, I like the observer placement as well. I wonder why, if he's gonna put them on patrol or not, but I think he's not doing it on purpose, because they're kind of wide in the open field, and he knows that it's gonna be a lot easier to spot them if he makes them move all the time. So I guess that's why he's just keeping them on hold position. I wonder if QXC finds it. Yeah, he does. He throws on the scan, but he misses it.
He shows another scan, so he does get the observer in the end, but a lot more costly than your typical observer.
That observer was the real MVP so far.
He was the real MVP.
You're the real MVP.
+2 attack on the way for QXC. He's getting his +1 armor as well. +2 in armor and attacker on the way for Oz as well. And he's got a very healthy Colossus count. I don't think forward pressure is really going to work against this army.
Hit squad can be pretty effective if these units have to trigger through. Okay, there is a Colossus right now. All of these units going to regroup. One Colossus is a little bit exposed. QXC is going to try to go for it at 2 fronts right now.
Yeah.
He will not get the Colossus on the right side. I think Oz is well positioned over here.
Yeah, very solid defense by Oz so far. QXC uses the right side of his flank to pick off 1 Colossus at that 3rd base. And actually still a really nice spread on this Bioforce. Another one of the Colossi very weak. He could try to step up for that, but he's lost a lot so far. Vikings actually come in from the right side and might be able to pick off 1. Blink should be able to grab the rest of these Vikings, but QXC, that was I felt like that was going to go a lot worse for him.
Yeah, I couldn't have said more. Because like it looked very ambitious, but then I saw these units there, and then with that new Colossus as well. Like if this Colossus wouldn't have been here, I feel that his squad that came from here could have just run into this base, and then fighting range and Photon Overcharge doesn't matter. It would take down those not very well upgraded gateway units without a problem. But with that Colossus in the mix as well, QXC was suddenly caught between a rock and a hard place. And then he still made the best of the situation. He took down one Colossus almost immediately, was able to get the other one over here, and in the end he finished the other one off as well with Vikings. And those two Vikings got out of there. So yeah, that could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, and I really just want to say I'm very impressed with how QXC's been able to manage getting out his upgrades alongside the second starport and his Viking production. It's really easy to tunnel vision on Medivacs and getting out Marauders and upgrades like Concussive Shell and Combat Shield, and then you find yourself really behind in upgrades because his double Forge play has been working really well. His 3-3 is already starting, so this is one of those situations where you can fall behind very quickly in this matchup in upgrades.
Yeah, he did. Did he sort of forget his +2 armor, or did he just now finish his second eBay? Because he's on 2-1 upgrades and 3-2 is on the way.
Yeah, he got his +1 armor at the same time as +2 attack.
Ah, okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, he's taking control of this Zelnaga Watchtower. Like, that's the only thing that I'm quite worried about for QXC as well. What's also interesting is that we don't have a Templar Archives yet. I kind of expected it in this phase in the game, but he hasn't taken these assimilators yet, so I guess that has everything to do with it.
He's going up to a 4th Colossus as well. Is this going to be a huge 3-base attack with 3-3?
Yeah, this is like a triple threes.
Is the 3-3-3-3.
The 3-3-3 attack.
with 4 Colossi.
If only he had 3 Colossus, then it would all make so much more sense.
He might even be able to grab a 5th at this point. This would be a really hard attack to stop.
Yeah.
QXC is building Ghosts. Obviously, we know Vikings, very good versus the Colossi. He throws a scan, he sees this army. And this is kind of awkward because you have a lot of Zealots, Widow Mines you'd like to be able to build versus that, but obviously Colossi deal well with those. He is still producing a lot of Vikings, and that's really key here. Those Ghosts, aside from like EMPs to take the shields off, there's no Templar or Storms to neutralize.
I'm very worried right now for QXC suddenly. When you just look at this production tab, Nate, there is the chance that this fight is going to unfold with 3-3 upgrades for the Protoss, while QXC is still at 2-1. He might get lucky and +3 might finish up as well, but there is still like a 50-second window for us to fight with 3-3 against 2-1. And yeah, that is a beautiful day for our Protoss and another very beautiful scenario for our Terran player.
Yeah, Oz is starting to move his army north, and he could be getting ready to hit that timing. As you mentioned, 4 Templar are being warped in right now at... exactly sure where they were brought. He's going to bring some Archons with those. And picking up this pylon would be nice.
The
Vikings are up, blinks onto them. EMP hits some of these units, gets the Zealots as well. 2 Colossi immediately picked off, kiting this Zealot force back. Only 1 Colossus remains. Another one walks up right into this force, but he's lost the majority of his Vikings already. QXC still has a lot of his bio here, but this is such a hard army to fight. 3-3 is done. +2 armor is finished for QXC, but +3 attack is not yet.
I felt that those Vikings could have even been a little more effective than they were, because I felt the start of that fight was great and there really wasn't that much supporting damage for us. There was just those Colossus and the bio units were running away. I felt if he would have focused better with the Vikings, he could have probably taken down 1 more and maybe even save a few more as well. There are 7 ghosts in his army and EMPs are always useful. I like that QXC is retreating to the high ground because that's his best chance right now. He doesn't want to get swarmed by all these Zealots.
Yeah, but that will mean this 3rd base is forfeit. A lot of SCVs can die here. QXC actually breaks the rocks. Is he going to go for the engagement? More and more Zealots being warped in from this Warp Prism. EMP hits only a few Stalkers, loses another couple of Vikings. Big losses. He can't afford to lose these with these Colossi still alive. And this 3rd base starting to get attacked. QXC is really trying. He's like trying to keep the 3rd base while also not taking a fight. And I don't think he can have his cake and eat it.
No, I think it's good that he's waiting though. Well, kind of forced to fight right now. There's so many Zealots in this army of us.
Yeah, he's kiting back. The Colossi haven't really been able to touch this Bioforce yet, but now that they're able to get up close and personal, this gets harder and harder for QXC. 1 Colossus remains, but it's already done too much damage. Up 60-80 supply is Oz, and GG is called. We have ourselves a tied series here in our first match of the day.
Pretty cool and interesting game over there with a couple of interesting fights, especially the first one with QXC where he made the best of a dicey scenario. I think it could have gone a lot worse, but I feel that fight in the middle of the map, that could have gone a tiny bit better. I felt like there were part of his Vikings were shooting and there were a few Vikings, like 4 or 5 north of that group, that were like flying left, right, left, right. I feel if those Vikings start shooting at the other targets immediately, there's a chance that way more bio survives and he could have actually like killed that Zealot Stalker army, that very Zealot heavy army. Without those Colossus, like, if there's just one Colossus remaining, then he can fight that, but you can't find a range of like 3 Colossus, and I felt he could have killed at least one, but maybe even 2 more Colossus that fight in the middle. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. The fight position, like you said, looked really good. The Vikings were over dead airspace.
Yep.
The Stalkers couldn't blink directly under them. But it seemed like the way that QXC positioned his army, he had moved his army like down to kill the pylon, and he'd kind of just aimlessly clicked the Vikings to go over there. And they still got a surprising amount of damage done to those Colossi, but he was also taking some hits from the Zealots while he was cleaning up that force. So even though he killed some of those big expensive units, those 3/3 Zealots really got their money's worth in the beginning of the fight. He wasn't able to kite them very well, and especially just, of course, he didn't have his +3 attack yet. Against +3 armor, those Zealots become so much more difficult to kill. It, like, +3 attack versus +3 armor, it's a whole different ballgame, that entire engagement. So QXC, I mean, played pretty well, but Oz was also really on top of his macro. He maintained a reasonable supply lead of just mostly gateway units, to be honest. Didn't have to get too many storms. Just, what, 2 Archons?
Yeah, that army really relied a lot on the upgrades, and ironically enough, the fight started without those upgrades being ready. Like, I selected them during the fight as well. There was like a 10-15 second frame, I would say, of that fight where the upgrades were not ready yet. So those Vikings having a much better time against Colossus with +2 armor than, you know, when that Viking... I don't really think that Oz wanted to fight right there and then. He was setting himself up for the fight, and he's like, okay, I'm almost ready. But the moment he suddenly saw all those Vikings and those bio units, I really think that he got scared a little bit. He's like, hell, I only had like 5 Stalkers in the mix as well. Those Stalkers were normally not enough Stalkers to effectively shoot down all those Vikings.
Yeah, that's actually another really good point you bring up. I did not really keep tabs on what those vehicle upgrades were. I don't even think he had any upgrades on those Vikings. So that makes it a whole different thing, especially with the +3 armor on those Colossi. But guys, the third map, the final map for our first series is going to be Merry-Go-Round. You can see it behind us, and I'm excited to get into this game. I feel like this is a map where QXC could bring out some more of those shenanigan-type builds like he did in the first map.
Well, we will see over here on the south side of Merry-Go-Round, representing Planet Key Dynamics, the runner-up of WCS America Season 1. It is Oz.
Oz, the mighty and powerful. He managing to tie this series up quite nicely with that very fast double forge build. His opponent in the top right, of course, QXC from Team Complexity. Able to take the first game with a cheeky build, but he still needs to show that he can go toe-to-toe in the macro game. Otherwise, this series is not going to get any easier for him.
That last game was truly one of those games where I would love to see just like a resume from replay and see what would have happened if QXC would have shot with all of his Vikings immediately and focused those Colossus a little bit better. Because we all know how it is. If Protoss doesn't have Storm, the only thing they truly rely on is to deal with a massive bio ball is Colossus damage, because that's just the only thing is. It doesn't really matter how many Zealots or Stalkers you have. They're very awesome and they're great to support fights, and they're great when you're winning fights and you send in more Zealots. But against like 160, 170 supply of bio, like no amount of just Zealots is going to do it, because by the time they run in, they die already. So you need just a little bit more than just that.
Yeah, the Zealots most had to be the cannon fodder in those types of situations. QXC, as we can see, has opened up barracks into gas, so this is going to be a Reaper build out of him for sure. And, you know, he is actually one of those players that I've said like he likes to go Reaper before, but he still might end up proxying a factory. He's a very difficult player to read at times.
Interesting opening over here by Oz. He's gonna go with a gateway first, but then still follow it up with the Nexus. So this is sort of like a Nexus first, but then just a tiny bit safer. Like with this build, you're gonna get a Zealot and a Stalker out a little bit quicker than you normally get. But this is still a very economic opening by our Protoss player.
Yeah, the delayed cybernetics core, of course, means we'll have slightly later Mothership core Stalker, so there is potential for a Reaper to do maybe a little bit of harass. The probe comes in, he pretty much knows everything that's going on. What's important for Oz, though, is that there's actually 2 SCVs still mining that refinery, so there's potential, actually go straight back, there's potential for this to still be a very fast factory play of some kind.
Yeah, this SCV is still alive in on this side of the map as well. Could potentially be him, but it would be a little obvious. Right now, what's happening? Well, he's making another Reaper. Okay, it's going to be a double Reaper opening over here.
That probe is still in the natural as well, so he'll know when that command center gets planted down. QXC isn't pulling anybody here.
And this could be very annoying as well, because if the SCV is going to go down now, it's going to find that probe, and that's not a fight the SCV wants to take. Also, you could have been so much more annoying there. If you would have been blocking this, well, I guess you can still be annoying.
I mean, like, the SCV wins 1v1 versus a probe if it gets the first attack off, but this is still pretty awkward because he has to pull another worker to help make sure that he can actually build the command center. The Reaper is here. Second Reaper has just finished, now making its way across the map, but
He should ignore the Zealot and he should start going for the probes.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to really get too much here. You think 1-2 probes would be nice, I'd say.
I felt he wasted 2-3 seconds over there, and that may sound like nothing, but that could make a difference between 1 or even 2 probes. Because the Reaper is shooting at the Zealot, that is exactly what you want as a Protoss player, because you know you can't catch up with that Reaper. It was still that little SCV, by the way, that was already on the south side of the map, so he had big plans for himself, and he is dropping a factory very close to Oz's base once more.
Yeah, SCV's got a good resume. He's a great scout, and he can build the proxy bases.
I almost feel like... Okay, never mind. I feel like, oh, those Reapers are gonna get trapped, or at least one of them. Because it's so low on HP, but it will survive. This is a little tricky. I must say, you know, Nate, I often think about, like, what if I was playing this game, would I be expecting what I'm seeing right now? Because, hey, this game is a lot easier when there is no fog of war. This would not cross my mind. After seeing 2 Reapers and also see the command center go down, the last thing that I personally would be worried about is another proxy factory. It wouldn't cross my mind at all.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, to be fair, even from the Terran perspective. But I like that these Reapers are trying to draw his attention. That factory has been planted. He does not see it with the assimilator,
so close.
He's still poking the front with these Reapers. He's focusing all of Oz's attention on this natural expansion.
1 Reaper does finally fall. Oz must be a little bit confused as well, but at least good news for Oz. This time he does have a forge. He's gonna wipe in the robo now as well. I don't think he's gonna drop cannons immediately, because I still don't think that he's expecting what is actually happening. But at least he has access to something that's gonna give him detection relatively quick.
Yeah, first Widowmine is out, moving in towards that mineral line. Oz, is he going to react in time? QXC is burrowing. He's right there. These probes are all clubbed. He's not moving. Gets 3 kills immediately. Not quite as juicy as the first shot, but you know what? It's something.
Yep, and there's still no cannon on the way. So most likely this 1 Widowmine will be able to shoot again. Is there going to be a cannon in the natural? Nope, still no cannon over here.
Oz tried to move a probe out on the map, found it with his SCV that built the factories. Reaper got the kill on that. And this Stalker is here, but he can still get this Widowmine out and move it either next to the Stalker or towards that mineral line. Okay, so this one actually shouldn't be able to burrow. But, you know, he forces the probes to move away, and is he going to get anything else? Just 1 probe.
So he took down 4 workers in the process in total. Now the Observer's being chrono boosted out. There is something else over here in the natural. It's his Reaper.
Got 2 kills, not bad.
Alright, so in grand total, 7 workers have fallen for QXC throughout this game. This 1 Widowmane trying to be as annoying as possible. And some mining time has been lost as well. It hasn't been all for nothing, but it hasn't been for free either.
Now this Widowmine not destined for greatness as the factory is pushed back. QXC's got his stim about 80 seconds deep. He's floating the factory back home. And he's starting to move out with that little bio poke. This is kind of what we saw on Overgrowth, but obviously he's done nowhere near as much damage as he did in that first map.
Right now there's still not too many strong units out though for Oz. He does have a lot of force tools on this one little sentry. 2 of them, I thought it was going to be 3, sorry. But in total he has 3 force tools and he has a photon overcharge, and if he really needs to, a time warp as well. If he wipes in 1 more Zealot, I think he's going to be fine. And if I was him, I wouldn't even use, there we see the Zealot, I wouldn't even use photon overcharge for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the very least, you said it. He has enough force fields to lock this army in. Kills 1 of the sentries, which is nice, but all these Marines pretty much guaranteed to die now. The question is, can QXC get his money's worth? Gets another sentry. I think that's not too bad. Another Marauder walks in.
Wow.
He does actually escape with one Marine.
With the fact that Photon Overcharge was casted as well, I felt that this did way more damage than it should have. Like, losing Zealots is always completely okay, using energy on your sentries is completely okay. You just don't want to actually lose your sentries, because if you take a look at the scouting potential right now of Oz, it's a little less. Like, he does have 1 observer, but imagine if this observer is going to fall, which I think is likely. There are missile turrets, and above all, QXC is always very well aware of observers. Then suddenly he has nothing to scout anymore, unless he makes another observer, which means that he stops Colossus production, which you don't really want to do.
Yeah, and we're seeing a similar setup for Oz, except for, of course, there's only being 1 forge this time, but it's, you know, Colossus range, getting blink. This SCV on the left side, like, it's just finding probes. He's like, I can't get any pylons out on the map. This guy not only can proxy buildings and scout, he can be the bouncer of the alleyways on this map.
And it's really awesome because you can see that Oz just wants to get pylons out on the map. He wants to get presence on the map. If you take a look at Oz's map vision right now, almost non-existent. He has 1 observer that is
how many times does QXC barely scan? It's frustrating, but you know, it's denying that vision. And Oz, he does still only have this 1 Colossus. Probe's going to check the 3rd base. QXC stims into the natural, takes a couple pokes, and steps back out. Nothing crazy happening, but his 3rd command center is about to complete as well. So he is on the ball as far as his macro goes. He should have a bit of an economic lead. The question is, when does Oz attack? Does Oz attack before or after going for a third base?
I must say I'm a little bit surprised that QXC keeps expanding towards Oz.
He wants to get close.
I don't know if you want to get close to these big guys that shoot a lot of lasers.
No, well, he's got 2 medevacs that want to get close in this main base dropping now. Photon Overcharge is activated, but you know what? He gets a pylon for free at least. He could kill this assimilator if he really wanted to. He's looking for any units that he can pick off. These gateway forces are quite exposed, but you know, he's denying a bit of gas mining. That's cool. Actually focusing down probes as well. QXC showing no fear in the face of the Nexus.
I feel that this game is going extremely good for QXC right now. I feel that the timing that Oz wants to hit is later than it's normally going to be. He's always going to be forced to leave units behind. We see him moving out right now, but if I was QXC, I would immediately abandon this base, just sit on 2 bases. He's he's building Vikings. I thought 3 at a time, but it's only 2 at a time. But still, I think he should be fine. He scouts this army. That's a great scout. Throws a scan down as well. I would say just abandon QXC. You don't have to defend this base.
Yeah, fighting here could hurt him. As you guys can see, there's like that crevice by the 3rd base. That force fields can be really good next to this command center. So QXC, he's already pulling his army back.
Yeah.
I guess he could lift the command center whenever the Colossi arrives.
Again, picks up a probe on the left side. Still, there's a lot of army supply at home for Oz.
Yeah.
Mothership Core is out of position, so these units, they're going to need Photon Overcharge to fight against this Stim Bio army. I love what QXC is doing here, because now he's forcing out another Photon Overcharge.
And at the same time, that army heading towards the 3rd base command center lifts off. SCVs are going to run for it. No force fields to lock him in, but you know, this command center actually does get killed.
Die.
Okay, he does kill it. That would have been a bit of a folly there.
But right now, it's not like Oz is outmining QXC. It's not like he has a whole lot of things going for himself. As soon as this Viking count just climbs a little higher, like QXC really needs like 7 or 8 Vikings, but he does have a lot of bunkers as well, and they should be able to at least save time.
Yeah, he's charging up the ramp. The force fields are placed, but he can't actually get close to those bunkers. 1 Colossus almost taken down. Vikings all still alive, so QXC is still trading, but Oz hasn't lost anything just yet. Drop hits the main base of Oz in the midst of all of this, gets that assimilator again. Really doesn't like assimilators as he focuses down a few more probes and boosts away.
I really love how QXC is doing this. This was just a setup all along, forcing Oz to keep units at home, and that was not even good enough. It's a shame he lost that Orbital, otherwise he would just be outmining his opponent severely right now. But even right now, he's up 25 workers. Of course, a lot of them are not working, but because of the double Orbital, he's still outmining his opponent.
And he's already rebuilding that 3rd command center, getting +2 attack, +1 armor is on the way, and we've only seen just 1-1 for Oz. He hasn't started any other upgrades, so this opens up QXC for another attack. Hallucinates with the Colossus. Guardian Shield popped. He's going to go for it once again up this ramp. Everything stimming. These Vikings firing with impunity, but that Hallucinated Colossus soaks up a good amount of damage. Is it enough, though? Only 1 Colossus remaining, and QXC seems to have all the cards he needs to win this game.
I think QXC is going to do it. The Vikings are going to land as well, but no more Colossus behind this. Oz has no economy. These Zealots are going to fall. These Sentries are going to fall. And now it's just Blink Stalkers against Stim Marauders. That's not a fight you ever want to take as a Protoss player. Oz is going to have to abandon this attack, and normally you would say that's almost game over. He did take down a lot of SCVs in the process, but right now he just has no tech to fight against this army of QXC. He has a lot of army supply, you could still say 48, but it's almost useless against the army of QXC. Well, don't do this, QXC. Don't zone out half your
QXC
army.
needs to watch how much he extends himself. A chunk of bio getting picked off. Some Zealots were sent to the right side, but QXC's reinforcing wave is here to defend.
Okay, super all in now.
Yeah, Oz is, this is as all in as it gets. He's got one last push to make, but versus this stimmed bio, you know, +2 is only 25 seconds away for QXC, but will he even need it? Stims, he's trying to go up this ramp. Even the Viking landing again, able to poke that mothership core, and Oz just does not have enough. Our American Terran player wants to go to the winner's match. Force fields are going to lock him out for now, but he's got such a big supply lead, nothing can stop QXC at this point.
Yeah, also right now he knows that this is probably not going to work anymore, but he also knows if I'm just going to try to transition, it's going to take like 3 years before I'm ever going to get Storm or Charge or something like that, as he lost quite a few workers. I don't think he even ever retake the Assimilator. No, he didn't. You see in the minimap. Mothership core is going to fall. Stalkers are being microed pretty well, but normally this is an, you know, you're sweeping leaves on a windy day. For every Marine you kill, 3 more show up.
And that is an awful feeling. I really like QX even doing the excessive micro, picking up the units on the front side of the force field to keep them away from the Zealots. One more attack from Oz up this ramp, and QXC's bio is going to town, smashing in the face of this mostly Stalker army. GG, we've got a Terran in the winners match.
Wow, QXC, what a great performance over here in this first best of 3 of the day. Of course, he's not there just yet, and Oz is not down and out just yet. But he played really well, man. This was as straight up as it gets. Of course, you know, that proxy factory was a little funky, but he was not ahead after that proxy factory phase. It was okay, you know, he took down 5-6 workers maybe, but after that, he just played it well. I'm personally not a very big fan of that build from Oz. I feel the only way that it works is if you catch yourself a break, like that first Manivac flies in and you blink below it with blink stalkers, you shut it down, and then you march across the map. But it's almost impossible to just run across the map with blink stalkers and Colossus when there's still 2 Medivacs active around your base. Because you know, if I'm going to leave my base exposed, I'm going to lose all my workers.
Yeah.
But then again, leaving like 12, 14, 16 army supply and your Mothership Core at home, that also makes your push so much weaker on the other side.
Yeah, that's really the most cool part about the way that QXC tried to play the whole series, in fact, was keeping Medivacs in the air, always keeping a threatening presence so that Oz could never fully commit. It's like, yeah, is it a 2-base committed attack where he loses if it doesn't work? Sure, but he can't reinforce if those Medivacs get into his base. He needs to have units at home to defend, and QXC, I would have said, needed to bring out some fancy footwork for this series. He certainly did it. The proxy factories or something, I've actually seen him do quite a bit, but really making them work, and it's kind of surprising to see just how effective they were, at the very least, throwing off Oz's tempo and securing that sweet Game 1 victory.
On this special day, right now the score is America 1 and Korea 0. But after this, we're going to have another America versus Korea. It's going to be Violet versus Puck. Wait, who am I kidding? It's basically America all the way. As both players are currently living in the US, we're going to head over to a very small commercial break. And after that, we'll be back once again with some PvZ action, Puck versus Violet.